Hello, this is Cuckoo. The other day, I made a song with this. The Syntakt from Elektron. And isn't it about time that I show you how it works? And as always with my tutorials, I want to show you how to make music. So let's start off by making some music and see how far we can go. And I'll explain everything I do, starting with the simplest thing to the most elaborate thing that I come up with in the process. So let's get going, make some music. All right, so here we go. Let's turn it on and enjoy the animation, which is in 3 dimensions. Nice. All right. So Elektron devices, if you've never used any Elektron device, there's a lot you can do. And there is a structure. In the beginning, it might not be clear what the structure is, but there is a rigid structure of how tracks work. And it's the same in all of the Elektron boxes, more or less. So once you know one of them, that knowledge transfers over to the other ones. And so if you know any of the analog series or the Diggy series, or even the model samples and model cycles, you have automatically a much better understanding of how this works. So with that being said, let's make a song from scratch. First of all, let's just press these buttons, see what happens. Yeah, this section here is your main keyboard input. This is where you can play. And it's also a place where you can input notes into the sequencer. By pressing this record button so it lights up red means that you're not editing one of the tracks. Which track? Well, if you press it again, it's the last track that you pressed. You can see it lights up in a kind of faint red. So now we're on that track. Now we're on that track. Kick track, edit. Now we're editing the kick track. Boop, boop, boop. That's a kick drum. Yeah? So now we just plotted out some kick drums. Now they're gone. And as it goes, you can keep doing that. And also, once it's running, you can start modulating the sound and tweaking the sound. Let's do it one more time. Press record, another track. That's the snare drum. This is like the preset kit, and all of the sounds are just in the preset state. So I'm gonna go in and sculpt the sounds very soon. But now, let's use this one. Edit. So now while it's running, I can select another track without exiting the recording. What's it called again? It's called grid mode, I think. So we can press track and select a track, and then we're there. So that's a quicker way to select tracks while you're doing something else. You can always reach into the track and change track. So now kick track, take them like straight. That's really weird. I'm gonna go to okay. And one more time now with our new knowledge of selecting tracks. The good thing with selecting a track in this state is you hear it. You hear a preview. Yeah. But the good thing about selecting this way is that you don't hear it. So you can do this kind of stealthy. If it's playing and you don't want to make any sound while you select the track, you cannot do that. Yeah? Cool. Let's go to that kick drum. I don't like it. Let's make it shorter. You're gonna see me a lot moving in and out of this mode. So pay attention to this. If it lights up stable, that means we're editing the sequence, the pattern. If it's not lighting up, it means we can play. Yeah? So now, for instance, we're not editing, we're just playing. So I'm going to play this, and examine the engine that we're currently in, because each of these, they can load up specific sound engines. And then this, for instance, has a chord engine. This has sort of a synth. This has the clap engine. But you can have a whole array of just kick engines if you want to, or just chords, or whatever you want. But what needs to be said is that this first row of tracks, 1 through 8, they're the digital tracks. So all of the algorithms that you can load in there, the engines, or the machine as they're actually called, the machines you can load in there, they're digital, basically coded software instruments that live in this machine. It's a hardware, but it's code. It's yeah. Whereas these ones, 9, 10, 11, and 12, they are borrowed from the analog rhythm, and they sound more or less very, very close to identical, but not quite, to the bottom row of the analog rhythm. And I say close because I actually asked them about it, because I could hear some vague differences, and they said, yeah, it's the same, but it doesn't have. And then they mentioned a technical term that I didn't quite understand. So there is a slight difference in how the analog circuits are implemented here from the analog rhythm, but it comes very close. So we were on the kick drum, the digital kick drum. I'm just gonna make some changes here. Whenever you're changing a sound, you can see changes happening here, and these they make you flick between different pages of each track. So this track now has these pages to go through. Got the trig page, synth page, the filter page, amp page, and LFO page. And some of them, you can see this, 1 out of 2. If you press it again, you can see 2 out of 2. So some of them have 2 pages, like the filter, the amp, the LFO, 2 LFOs. The synth only got 1. But if you double tap, you come into the selection mode where you can actually select what engine you're using on that. Oh, sorry, I'm going to use the right word. What machine you're actually using on the corresponding track. So what I want to do is reach into the synth, and change it. So the synth page has these parameters. They're called A, B, C, D, F, G. Yeah, A through H. So let's do it. Tuning. Yeah. Sweep time. Punch. Decay. Ooh, that's bass. Overdrive. Oh. Yeah. That's really boomy. And if you can kind of tell that these engines sound familiar, it's because they've borrowed these digital engines from their own model cycles, which is an FM synth little beast, but they have added functionality on top of that. So with a richer way of modulating with the LFOs, the amp, the filter is richer, more it's more in line with the Digitact and the Digatone when it comes to the filter and amp and everything. But the algorithms are borrowed from the model cycles, and they've added some more on top of that, some more engines, machines. I'm gonna learn how to say it, machines, some more machines. Yeah. So this, I made like a whole set on the model cycles, and I really like it. And one thing that I actually think is one of the best engines or machines ever is the kick drum there. So that kick drum is now here, and I'm very happy about that because it's a beefy kick drum. So let's listen now. Cool. So how about the snare drum? Let's listen to it. I think they've done a beautiful job with the icons, like a creative way of displaying what happens to the sound. Yeah, that's not too bad. Okay. Shorter. And now, this is something you cannot do on the model cycles. It's head into the amp here and do like a much more robust envelope. So maybe we want a kick drum that has a long ring, but actually we can go in here and make the like a synth, a bass synth. And speaking of synths, if I engage the keyboard, which is everything you see in red, by the way, can be accessed by pressing function and the corresponding button. So here, to enter keyboard mode, function and keyboard. Now we're in the keyboard mode. And in this mode, maybe less of that. Yeah. And I've actually used this kick drum engine as a very rich bass, and I find that kick engine to be a really good bass sound. So I use it from time to time again. Yeah, but now, yeah, actually that's kind of fun. But if I were to, okay, I'm getting quicker and quicker because I know the system. If I go into the bass track again, select this one, and if I wanted to record on the fly with the keyboard engaged, I could do that by pressing rec and play. Yeah, but I'm gonna go in here and take all of these kick drums away first. Okay, so by just pressing play I can practice. Okay, sounds like that. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and how about that? Yeah, that's fun. And now I'm taking a look at it. It's like one thing you want to do a lot when you're editing a track is to shuffle around little things and maybe move this one here, or maybe micro time it a little bit later or earlier. And that's when you need to learn how to do all of the shortcuts. So if I press and hold the trig here now, this is lighting up. We're in trig mode, in grid edit mode. Press this, which now means copy. Well, I hold down a trig and press these 3 buttons: copy, clear, and paste. Copy, gone, press there, paste. So now, yeah, just move the trig. You can move this, copy, gone, and paste. So in this case, it gets a little busy, and continuing on our little exploration here when it comes to making a track that kind of lives a little bit more than just a straight. So I'm thinking maybe these two can be fired off only sometimes. So press and hold this, I go to the trig page, and we've got one thing here called conditional trigs. And as you probably already have noticed, that the corresponding placement of these correspond to the placement of these knobs. So this one, to access that, wiggle this. So we've got a different couple of different things we could do. We can set the percentage of chance for this trig to fire off. So if I set it to 50, there's a 50% chance that this trig will happen. Didn't happen. It did happen. Did happen? Not. So that's a fun way to create like a little bit more irregularity and make stuff live a little bit more. We can, for instance, go in here to track where, let's see, I'm doing stuff a little bit too fast sometimes because I'm so used to it. The keyboard function and track is off, function and track is on, but the way I do it is just by doing that. It's just like a gesture. I do it all the time, so I don't do it like this. It's just faster to do it like that. So turn on the keyboard, turn off the keyboard. Wax on, wax off. So what I wanted to do was go to this track and see if I could do something fun here. Maybe I could take this whole track and give it, I'm still on the trig page, give it a lower probability. Let's see. It's a little weird and it will sound a little bit alien maybe when stuff just happens completely at random. So what I like to do is maybe go in there and decide which ones I would like to have a chance, or a double trig even. So maybe these two could be a lower probability, like a very low, 25%. And these two, 25%. And now I regret something. I want to reset some of those settings. Like these, it was a bit too much to have them at 25%. So we can see when we press the trig, we can see them lighting up whatever is changed for that particular trig. Nothing here, nothing here, nothing there. It's lighting up. Something is indeed changed there. So I will press this encoder because they're all buttons, and pressing an encoder means that I reset the value for that trig. So what I want to do, reset that as well. Okay, I'm going to do a little experiment here on a retrig. And retrig means that instead of a trig happening just once during this span, it could happen several times. So let's take one. For instance, the last one there in this little sequence. Press up on the keyboard, it says here retrig. So we're in this little mode now. Retrig, and I keep pressing up to engage the retrig for this particular trig. And right now it says rate 1/30 seconds. So that should be twice of what it is now, which is 1/16. So let's see what happens. Yeah. Nice. We got a double trig there. And I'm going to give this whole trig a conditional like 50% chance of playing at all. Come on. That still happened. There you go. There you go. Cool. So now this little hi-hat track here is living its own little life. Let's give it some more life. And I have just an idea for doing that. So let's go to the synth page of this. I want it to vary in length. I could go in here into the track and set the length per trig, but I want to give it a more kind of organic, live kind of movement. So I'm going to do it with an LFO, low frequency oscillator. And what that is, it's going to send a value a little slower, going from low to high to low, and send that value to what I imagine being the decay. So let's listen to this. Okay, I'm just going to wiggle this to the music and feel it out a bit first. Okay, let's try it. Head to the LFO of this track. The LFO is 2 pages, 2 LFOs. I'm going to pick LFO 1 there and immediately set the destination to be, let's see, Synth Decay. There's a little menu diving here, but just take it with some patience. And then I'm going to set some depth to that. Let's listen to it now. So we can hear the length going longer and shorter and longer. Maybe too much. I'm going to give it a faster. Okay, let's try that now. How about that? That's nice. And that double trig just coming in sometimes. At this point, I'm like, ooh, yeah, this is nice. I want to save this. And save this project by pressing Function and Save Project. Save all patterns in project settings. Yes or no? Yes. And it's pretty fast. And by the way, you can save stuff even when it's running. Save. So it's not gonna interrupt or anything. So it's very smooth. Cool. I think that was remarkably nice, actually. Right? Okay. How about this? Maybe should give it a little reverb. So we've got these here. We've got trig. We've been checking out the synth thing. There's filter. Let's check it out on another sound. Okay, amp. On the amplifications, yeah, we did some of that envelope for the bass, but the lower ones, they are effect sense. So I'm going to send some reverb here to send to the reverb. And if you want to change the reverb itself, you need to press Function and Reverb. And then you get to the global setting of the reverb. It's yeah, what do you call it? It's like a master effects which you send to that is then getting mixed in the end. So there's not like one reverb per track, but every pattern has its own reverb setting. So now, let's see. Longer decay. More pre-delay. Shorter decay. Yeah, filter. So you can change it however you want. I'm going to go back to the amp here, dial it down a bit. Okay. I like this. I think we're onto something. All right, let's check out the Chord Engine, which just happens to be here for now. Keyboard. Cool. So let's check out the synth parameters for this chord. Tuning. One thing that I like to do all the time, to reset one of these, is kind of a bit tedious to try to reach 0 again. So what you could do is press Function and wiggle it. Then it's got like it snaps to octaves. Some other values snap to preset values as well. So in order to quickly reset a value, press Function and twist it, and you'll find it quickly. Okay, I'm going to check the parameters. That's always the thing you do when you check out a machine, is go to the synth page, check out the parameters, and see what it sounds like when you change it. So let's check this out. B. Yeah, it's changing the waveform. And if you're kind of dialing in a sound that needs to fit with something that you already laid down, like now I've got this, it's a good thing to play that and adjust to that. Because if you're doing this, it's like, oh, that's nice, and then you press play, chances are that it won't the frequency won't gel with each other if you don't check them out together several times. So here, I imagine maybe something more spiky. Or maybe something more. Maybe something more bell-like. Cool. Then we got this punch on and off. It's like a very binary, rudimentary almost effect that sounds good on some of the sounds, but on some sounds, well, it's not adding much to this particular sound. It kind of ducks it in a little weird way, so I keep it off here. But on some of the sounds, it's more like a sort of distortion that's just on or off. But here on the chord, not sure if it does anything good for me. Cool. This one is the fun one. So it's actually cycling between different chords. And the next one is even more fun. Look at these little Pac-Man ghosts here. So it's changing the, what's it called again? Inversion of the chord. Very nice. So for instance, this could be a nice place to add a little tad of that LFO again. Same thing here. Go to LFO, select the destination, synth, tune, chord. And sometimes you realize that you need to read it. What's this called again? It's called Oscillative Balance. Okay, let's go here again. Chord Oscillative Balance. Maybe it's super slow. Too slow. Nice. I'll use that. Okay. Overdrive. Let's see. I think I'll go to the amp and make a slow start and a slow release and delay. Cool. I'm gonna go into the delay setting and change this parameter to be ping pong right and left and increase the width. Nice. And also have the delay send a little bit to the reverb. Cool. I'm gonna go to the amp again and make it even slower. Okay. That's nice. I think I'm gonna work on the sound a little bit more. Maybe go to the filter even. We haven't done that yet. The filter has some different variations. Like this is the envelope of the filter, and these are changing the filter frequencies and types. And what I was thinking is change the type to a high pass. like a telephone. Too much. Okay, that could be something. Now, I'm going to introduce a new thing here, because we can see that the loop that I created is just one little loop long. It's one page long. And the little pattern that I started playing now it's actually 4 pages long. So how do we go about and change that? We could do it in 2 different ways, I'd say. One is to have this particular track 7 in this case, and slow it down. Slow that track down to 1/4 of the speed. Let's try to do that, see what we find. We see this little thing here. It's called page, fill, and scale. So in order to access the page, press function and page. Actually, it's the scale. Yeah, it's the scale that we're going to change now. The scaling of this particular track. So on this page, we can see some information. The length of this pattern is now 16 trigs long. I can change it to 15 if I want to. 13 trigs long. 16 trigs long. And the scale of this whole pattern with all of the tracks is 1x, which means it runs in real time. But it says here, function plus yes per track. And that's what we want. We want to change one of the tracks to run slower in this case. Let's try that. Function and yes, while we're in this page scale setting page. And now we've got much more controls to deal with here. So track 6, like each track has got its own setting now. So what I want to do now is to change the scale to there we go, 1/4. So now track 7 will be 1/4 of the length. Cool. 1/4 of the speed, sorry. So with that in mind, I'm gonna have to change one more thing later. Just gonna make a mistake on purpose, like so. I'm gonna press record, rec, and play. By the way, if you want recording to be if you want like a count up, count down, press function and pattern metronome. Just turn on the metronome, turn it off. If you click and hold, you get some metronome stuff here. So pre-roll bars, 1 click is on. Okay, so the click metronome is audible now, and it has 1 bar of pre-roll counting. Okay, let's see. So if I press rec and play now, very nifty for when you're going to do something like I'm doing now. So, down, down, down. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and. And immediately, I said I was going to make a mistake on purpose. Immediately, if we go in here into this track now, what's happening there? The track is, according to this, 16 trigs long, but it's only playing 4 trigs and then restarts. Is because it's obeying this setting here, which is master length. This whole pattern has a master length, and with that length has been reached, all the patterns will restart. So the master length will, in this case, be 4 times as long, 64. Same thing here. You can hold function and it'll snap, which is very nice. 64. Cool. So in this case, this whole track will actually take 64 trigs to play through, because it's being played 1/4 of the speed. Whereas the other tracks, like this track for instance, the kick track, it's playing in real time, so it would reach its end and just loop until it's reached that state of the master length, and it will restart, which will in this case line up perfectly with a loop. Okay, let's see now. I'm gonna record that again. 1, 2, 3, and nice. Yeah, I said there were two ways of tackling this issue. Now this is running super slow, which means I cannot do like quick trigs on this track because it's running at a very slow pace. So if we take another track, maybe this clap track, and put some claps out. Okay, I'm gonna turn off the metronome. And if I want that clap to happen like very late in the whole thing, and maybe some quicker things, we could do this. We can make this whole track 5. We can make it longer, and that's where the page button comes in. You can see this here is changing. The length by default is 16 trigs long, and now I could do it by hand like this, but this is like a quicker way to do it. I want it to be 4 pages long. I got it like embedded in my brain because it's something I do very often. Make this 4 pages long. So it's now 64 trigs long. The master length is still 64 trigs long, so it will match up perfectly. And no is, by the way, the way to exit menus. It doesn't mean cancel or do not commit. You're always committing. No simply means exit menu in most of the cases, unless there is a question which you have to answer no to. All right, so now we're in grid edit mode, and whenever I press this now, we can see this strong lighting LED indicating what page we're on. So I'm going to go to the last page, make one clap there, and I'm actually going to make it longer. Synth. This is not reverb, this is the synthesis. Okay. One. There you go. Cool. So yeah, it's looking nice. Something we haven't done is to load a different engine. So let's do that. How about this one? I'm gonna two ways to do it: double tap synth, or function and press synth. Same thing. I think sometimes you just have one hand available, and then double tap is like a quick way of doing it. So let's see. And when we selected a digital track and we double tap it, we only got access to all of the digital things, machines. So let's try it. That's nice. Ooh, and down there at the bottom we can see that any track can become a MIDI track. It's not like two modes where it's either synth or MIDI. No, on this machine any track can be assigned, set up to be a MIDI track. Let's see. Okay, toy. Yes, let me toy. Keyboard. Okay, let's make this a melody track that kind of flies a little bit higher above the rest of the sounds. Now it's kind of muffled into it. So let's see what we have. Level, overdrive, reverb. Whoa, it's too much. Amp. And here on the amp, I'm going to press it again. We've got some different modes there for amp. So I'm going to select this mode, which is more of a traditional synth ADSR amp envelope. Cool. Maybe mess around with the filter. Maybe we could do this. Cool, let's do that. We can see that on the filter page there is an envelope. The envelope could be used in order to control the filter. Nice. There's some different filters. In this case, I think this is too loud. I'm not sure if that filter did what I wanted. Maybe I have a high pass filter. One thing with the filter is you can key track it to the sound. Like if I have this sound tuned to a specific frequency, like there for instance, that's like the fundamental tone of that. But if I play upwards now, that frequency is still just in one place in the spectrum. So what I could do is to go in here, function and sound, go up here to setup and filter key track 100 maximum. I need to change it again to let's see. So now the key track is relative to its own key. It's going to follow in pitch. It's very useful. Sometimes what I do is I only kind of, if this is the sound now, I feel like, well, there is one frequency there which I want to highlight. This is the fundamental, which will make the whole sound much beefier and boomier. But sometimes might be a frequency above the fundamental that I want to lift and highlight in order to kind of mold the sound into something more physical and with some more presence. Okay, I'm going to add an LFO to this sound as well. See here, synth tune. Too much. Now we can hear that the vibrato that I just added to the tuning, it starts right ahead. And that could be desirable, but sometimes you want that vibrato to kind of fade in. So let's use the fade. To have this change, the LFO change, happen gradually. Okay, delay. Reverb. That's the one. Now, I know stuff, so I'm going to move ahead faster. Function, page, 4 pages long, exit. Metronome on, rec and play. Okay, I'm gonna go in to the reverb, make it longer. Maybe have this sound also travel between left and right. Go to LFO. LFO1 is taken to this vibrato. So LFO2 is not taken. I'm going to send that to synth, filter, amp. There I go. Amp pan. As you can see, when I'm selecting, I'm used to pressing the encoder, but you can also press yes. I have it slower. Okay. And now I'm going to change some stuff in the sound engine, but because I'm not really sure if it's going to be a good change or not, I'm going to make a safe approach. First, I'm going to save this. So I'm going to save it like that. So now it's saved. I can return to this point. But I'm also going to do this. Synth and copy. So I'm copying the synth page now. And if I mess it up, I can paste it back. So didn't work, paste it back. So that's a safe approach to change the sound. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a good sound, but it's there. I'm gonna save it. Cool. So, what else? Let's move on. Yeah, let's explore these. These are the analog sound engines. Nothing happens because I'm in keyboard mode. So I think with a machine like this, where you have analog and digital side by side, the question, should I go analog or digital, suddenly becomes kind of irrelevant. It's just you got some different sounds at your disposal, and to be honest, I think they fit together very well and they sound good. And it's not like, oh no, I wish there was more analog sounds or more digital, because I think they sound very cool, all of them. So let's check out some analog drums machines. Cool. Plastic is one of my favorites. I like it because it's kind of different. One thing with the analog ones is that all of the signal chain here is analog. Like the filter is analog, the overdrive is analog, and yeah, that's about it. and the sound engine is analog. So the overdrive specifically cool. Level track. I think with the analog sounds there is a flavor of gnarliness to them that you can kind of get out from them. So let's listen to the filters. I think you could tell that the filters are analog. They sound a little bit richer in general compared to the digital filters. And like this filter here is kind of a, I'm not sure, combination. And with this analog, I wouldn't call it beast, but it has more oomph to it, perhaps, than the digital. Well, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. There is a presence there that is maybe a little bit harder to tame, so you need to take care to balance the digital sounds with the analog sounds. Now I'm kind of getting excited to make a track. If I want to delete that track, only the track, you can use this clear function, but you need to be very careful when you clear stuff. But you could potentially clear a whole pattern. You don't want to do that. When this is lit, you are clearing and copying a track. When it's not lit, you're clearing the whole pattern. So light it up, you're in grid edit mode, function and copy track. That means that clear will also clear the track. It's only the sequencer data that will be cleared. Okay, I'm gonna double it. One mistake, even though I had like terrible timing, it nailed most of the timing because it was quantizing real life, real time. But I'm gonna move that, copy, paste, and okay, tempo. We see this flashing all the time. I haven't even spoken about it. Tempo, yeah, it's a tempo. We can change the tempo. Swing. So in this faster tempo here, What else? Yeah, function. If you press function, you can see the keyboard gets green. What's that? It's mute. You can mute tracks. And this, I'm using this a lot in performance mode. How about we add like a fat kick drum to this? We've got the bass there, but let's add a kick drum as well, because we made the kick drum into bass earlier, didn't we? So put it here, machine, and we've got lots of bass drum options, and they're all very good in their own respective way. Analog kick drum. So the bass itself has a very bassy and almost a kick drum feel to it. So I'm going to put the kick drum slightly above the bass. The bass is more kind of sub bass kind of. So let's see. Yeah. We're getting it's becoming a track. Let's try this one. This is the hi-hat cymbal thing. This is a different channel on the Syntakt. It's analog and it has engines that only work on these. Digital, they can swap all of the digital engines. The analog, there are 3 of the same kind and the third one which is different. So let's see. It has a very different vibe from that other hi-hat. LFO, that changed the length. Let's see. Synth, tail decay. Yeah. All right. Let's head over to effects. What we do there is to apply certain effects. Let's check out the different pages here. We've got the trig page as where you can set up whether or not different parts, these different pages, would be triggered by the trigs on the sequencer for the effects track. And then we've got the synth page, which is simply just a drive. And I think this is an analog drive, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't checked the manual. Don't quote me. And then we've got a filter, and I would assume that it's an analog filter. Don't quote me. I haven't read the manual. And then we've got the amp, which is you can make a kind of a ducker or a compressor on the amp page. And then LFO. So the effects has LFOs as well. So let's go from the start here. Trigs. All of the trigs are on now. So what I'm going to do is on the effect track, it's actually a track, enter grid recording mode, grid edit mode, and just press a lot of trigs there. The trigs, we can't hear it, but what they're actually doing now is triggering the envelopes on the different pages. The LFO trig, the filter trig, and the amp trig. On the filter page, there is an envelope which is being triggered now because it's being triggered. by the sequencer of the effects track. So it's not doing anything because it hasn't been set up to affect the filter at all. But let's listen to the filter. We could hear that, like, clearly everything is not affected. And why is that? It's because of the routing. The routing, as you can see, under, below, beneath the effects, is the way you set up all of the tracks to run into the effects chain. So let's press function and routing and see here. We can see that all of these tracks are set up to be sent into the effects, but not 1 and 9. So I'm going to press them too. So now all of the tracks are going into the effects. Let's just do that same thing one more time. Filter, play. But we can still hear that the delay and reverb, those effects, they're not in the mix here. So let's do it again. Function routing, we can see this. This is the delay. That's the reverb. And the last one is the analog input, the external inputs. So you can run an external synth or any sound source and have that also run through the master effects if you want to. I'll leave it up for now. I don't have, well, I'll put it on again. Okay, let's listen again out with the reverb and all of the effects. So what about these trigs that we put out on the effects track? Well, they will trigger the envelope, and the envelope can be engaged here. And also, while this is playing, you can head into the routing. And release certain elements of the mix from the effects chain. But for now, let's keep everything in there. So what different filters have we got? We've got low pass 4, low pass 2, band pass. Wow, that's actually very cool. Whoa. Cool. We got this one, high pass. Oops. And yeah, we got some different here. This one. This one. This one. I think this one is cool. So what we can do here is, like on the track that I made recently, what I did was I prepared a rhythm that went in line with the song. Like, let's go head over to that song. Like this, and let's check out the effects track here. So dun dun ticka dun 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 ticka dun dun ticka dun dun, and then I made like a rhythm that went in line with the song. Dun dun ticka dun 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 ticka dun 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 ticka dun 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 And then to have that rhythm, and at any point it's a lot of fun. It's super fun, because then if we go back to the little demo song I'm creating now, maybe I should do like, let's come up with a rhythm that suits this song. Don't. Yeah. Don't. Yeah, it's just an idea. Yeah, one thing that I like is the drive. It's a little bit destructive, but let's take a listen to it. I think that drive in combination with the filter yeah, that's a lot of fun. I think it's pretty cool. And another thing that I use all the time, I'm going to save this again, save it, is Control All, which is something that lately has been implemented in all of Elektron synthesizers. And that's a way to control all of the tracks at the same time. So let's try to do it. I'm going to exit the effects track, maybe head to that bass track, and use that as my bass for the Control All. So what I do is hold down track, and when I hold down track, anything I do will be applied on all of the tracks at the same time. One thing I'm going to do first is to copy this pattern. This is not lit. If it's lit, it's copy track. If it's not lit, copy pattern. Function, copy. I'm going to head to pattern 2 and paste the pattern there. So now I've got an exact copy. Pattern 2. Yeah. Well, I forgot to tell you about one of the basics in the very beginning. I should have told that. Like bank, we got 8 banks. Patterns, each bank has got 16 patterns. So if I press bank, this here, and go to bank C, pattern 1. Yeah, we go to bank 12, which is bank D, press pattern there. Come to what I was working with. Sorry about, I forgot about telling you about the basics. Yeah. Okay. So what I wanted to show you was Control All. So if I only control this bass now, go to Synth. It's only controlling that synth, right? And now I've destroyed this already, and what I want to do is paste over it again, because I still have the pattern copied, so paste it back. But what I'm going to do now, let's see, pattern 2. Okay, are you ready? I'm going to press and hold track, make some changes, which will be applied on everything, all of the track at the same time. And if I'm not happy with it, I'm going to press no while still keeping the track button pressed, because that will reset back to before I start fiddling with Control All. Let's do it. Keep the track, change the synth. filter, envelope, overdrive, and then I'm gonna press no. And that was kind of extreme, but you never really know exactly what's going to happen, because the different engines, different machines on all of the different tracks, they'll respond differently to the different knobs and twists. So whereas the bass, well, most of the machines, they have tune on the first one. But sweep is on this one, whereas on this one, form, this one, shimmer, and this one, space. So you never really know exactly what's going to happen. If you do, once again, once that one parameter on one track is bottoming out or topping out, the other ones are catching up, and then it starts moving again. So the relative movements, once one of the tracks has topped out its value, will also change. So yeah, let's do it one more time and see if we can achieve something different. How about this? This is weird. 2, 3, and I'm back. Another way to come back to where you were, but then you need to know that you just saved it. And you can also save a pattern to like momentarily save a pattern like that. Pattern saved to temporary area, and then you can reload that pattern from the temporary area. If you've saved it, this is kind of overriding the temporary, so it's like everything is saved, and you reload from the saved area. So let's try that once again. So now, go here, it's bonkers, reload pattern, it's back. I'm using that a lot when I'm performing, and I find it a lot of fun. Yeah. I think this video here is getting long, and I'm gonna stop here, and I'm gonna let you explore. And if you want to have like a follow-up video where I explore even more of what you can do with it, please let me know in the comments below. And if there is something specific you're really not able to crack the code on, let me know in the comments below too. So yeah, if you enjoy what I'm doing here on YouTube, please consider throwing in some donation over Patreon. All of my Patreon supporters, they get access to my packs, and also we have a Discord channel where we can exchange advice, or if you're struggling with something, you can reach out in the Discord and talk with the others. I'm trying to keep my Discord kind of what we say, calm. I think there's a lot of commenting noise out there, so I don't want my Discord to be like a place where you could just pump out with a super lively chat. I think I want my Discord to be a place where you can reach out and you know that there's people caring about each other in there and not just spamming. So we have a healthy Discord where people that show care for one another, look out for one another. And so if you're my patron, got access to that too. And yeah, got a web store as well if you want to buy stuff. And I recently started affiliate links, which I've never done before. So if you purchase a synth or any gear through my affiliate links, get a little cut from that. Very much appreciated. Thank you so much for watching. This is Cuckoo. Always stay curious, and let me know in the comments how you feel about the new Syntakt. And I really like it. I think it's a very nice little marriage between analog and digital, and taking some parts of Elektron's already existing products and streamlining it into this little device here. Yeah, that track that I made the other day, bonkers. I loved it. See you soon. Peace out, everyone. See you soon.